Good morning. Today is the 27th of February and it's time for yet another very vague and not particularly interesting and probably quite boring vlog. So, some of you will see the title of this video in the thumbnail and think, why is that newsworthy? We've heard about discontinuations of super minis in the last few years, like the Fiesta, the Kia Rio, and the Nissan Micra. There's probably more coming. Why is this important about the third generation Mazda 2? Well, there's something a bit more going on than first appears. I mean, sure, the Mazda 2 this generation has been on sale since 2015. It's a bit like the SsangYong Tivoli that I'm in today, or the Suzuki Vitara. They're all still going, despite having been in production for about 10 years. Been two facelifts for the Mazda 2 of this generation, one in 2019 and one in 2023. And at the moment, after the 2023 facelift, some of the engines are available with mild hybrid technology, which was the same for the later versions of the Mark 8 Fiesta, for example. But what is so significant about this? Well, there have been two versions of the Mazda 2 available in this country for quite some time now. I think it was in 2021 they brought out the Mazda 2 Hybrid, which is very, very similar to the current Toyota Yaris. And of course, for the figures, it looks better for Mazda if they sell more of those. So you can understand, well, the third generation Mazda 2 is quite old. The Yaris is a much more modern design. The figures look better. There's probably a higher profit margin in the hybrid Mazda 2 than the standard one. Well, it's actually a little bit more than that's going on. You see, I read an article in Autocar magazine which mentioned the discontinuation of the third generation Mazda 2, which I think is actually a fantastic car, by the way. And actually, some of it is to do with the zero emission vehicle mandate. We might later on just go into the Mazda dealer that I'm just passing here and just very quickly and without any permission just get some footage of whatever cars I'm talking about, just very briefly, but no one notices me because I do have some in there. But yeah, the zero emission vehicle mandate, which is this whole thing that's been in the news a lot over the last year or so, which says that last year 22% of all new cars sold in this country would have to be zero emission or something like 90 miles of plug-in hybrid range, or manufacturer would be fined. I think it was £15,000 a car over the target. Now, what's really, really strange is that I don't think anybody ended up being fined. Although we didn't make the 20% target, we got to perhaps I think it was about 19%, but nobody's been fined for this. And the article I read in Autocar explained why people haven't been fined, or despite not making the target. So we're going to just park up somewhere because it's quite complicated, this, and we'll speak more about the sales figures for the third generation Mazda 2, and also what on earth is going on with zero emission vehicle mandate, and actually why this particular moment they've decided to stop selling this car in this country. Perfect. 24 plate. Final facelift. Third generation Mazda 2. Looks very nice. And this is what the Mazda 2 hybrid is based on, the Yaris hybrid. This is a Mazda dealership actually, but for some reason they've got one of these and I can't see one of the Mazda 2 hybrid going anywhere near the building. I don't want to. But there we go. It's basically what the Mazda 2 hybrid looks like, one of these. And my gosh, the 22 plate this car and it's £20,000. Wow. Right, to Yaris. The petrol Super Mini can no longer be ordered new, and a spokesperson for Mazda confirmed to Autocar that just a few hundred examples remain in showrooms across the nation. It brings to an end a near-decade-long run for the Super Mini. It arrived in the UK in April 2015, and then praised for being fun to drive with a decent turn of pace and a smart cabin. It was facelifted in 2019, and then again in 2023, each update adding new technology. Yes, we saw the 2024 plate there. Mazda didn't elaborate on why the 2 was cancelled, but a spokesperson told Autocar, quote, as we move towards increased electrification of our cars, the Mazda2 hybrid meets consumer demand in the B segment and is a step in our journey to ensure all our cars have some form of electrification by 2030. As you know, that is the provisional date when a lot of the combustion engine cars will be removed from the road in this country, allegedly. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but it's on the cards at the moment. The 2's age alone meant it was due for replacement, but it's possible Mazda was encouraged to exit by the UK's zero-emission vehicle mandate. Our old friend. The government's official timetable forcing car makers to gradually ramp up EV sales up to 80% in 2030 and 100% by 2035. Under current legislation, each mainstream manufacturer in the UK is assigned a total carbon credit allowance annually. This is based on its total sales of the previous year, as well as the average CO2 emissions of the diesel, petrol and hybrid cars which sold in 2021. The zero-emission vehicle mandate is actually quite a con, because as you're going to find out, we've been saying for months now that people will be fine if they don't meet the target. So last year was 22% and this year's 28%. But if a manufacturer cuts its CO2 emissions to below this allowance, it can convert its spare carbon credits into de facto sales that count towards its zero-emission vehicle sales target. This exchange takes place at a rate of 167 carbon credits to one zero-emission vehicle sale. In simple terms, for every 167 grams per kilometre of CO2, a manufacturer cuts the total CO2 emissions of the petrol, diesel and hybrid cars it sells in any given year. It has one fuel electric car to hit its target. So if you're able to have cars that emit less CO2, you can earn credits, which mean you don't have to sell so many electric cars. Autocar understands that Mazda sold around 4,400 examples of the 2 last year, split between 1,700 pure petrol cars and 2,700 mild hybrids. So the mild hybrid ones were more popular. The pure petrol emits 109 grams of CO2, whereas the mild hybrid emits 107 grams per kilometre of CO2. That's a really, really small amount of difference, isn't it? This gives a tally of around 474,000 grams per kilometre of CO2 last year. Had those 4,400 been 2 hybrids instead, Mazda would have saved around 90,000 grams of CO2 because it emits a much lower 87 grams per kilometre of CO2. This would have allowed Mazda to sell roughly 500 extra internal combustion engine cars, 2% of its total registrations last year, without facing fines for doing so. This is particularly pertinent to Mazda, who only offer one electric car, which is the electric version of the MX-30 in the UK until the arrival of the 6E saloon next year. So the Mazda 6 is coming back. Excellent, but it's an electric car. Autocar understands the electric MX-30 comprised around 5% of the brand's UK sales in 2024, far short of the zero-emission vehicle mandate's target of 22%. It should be noted that, this is really important, according to the Department of Transport, no company was fined for breaching the zero-emission vehicle mandates last year. No company. So what's the point then? If you're not going to fine anybody, what's the point of saying you will? But with a target set up to ramp partially after this year, yeah, it's 28% this year. It will go up again in 2026. Manufacturers will be placed under greater pressure and marginal gains will be an absolute priority. Big selling and relatively polluting petrol super minis in the vein of the 2 are likely to be the first casualties of the race to slash emissions and win de facto EV sales. As you said, the Fiesta's gone, the Micra's gone, the Kia Rio's gone, and now the normal Mazda 2 is gone as well. Manufacturers might look instead to flog increasing numbers of hybrids and plug-in hybrids to slash their CO2 tallies, generating additional credits to cover slower than expected growth in sales of electric cars. Need I say more, viewers? So there we go, viewers, the demise of a car which I think represents probably one of the last of its type that's not got sort of, sort of electrical assistance in some major way, and isn't massively overpriced and is nice and delicate and light to drive. And having recently sourced, as you know, a 2012 Mazda 2, from the second generation for my mysterious benefactor. I am quite a fan of both the third generation and the previous generation of those. I'm sure the Yaris Hybrid and the Mazda2 Hybrid are very good cars, but they won't have the same kind of delicate feel to them, as sort of lightness and everything like that. And we might never see cars like that particularly again, but just are simple little cars with nice manual gearboxes and, you know, not overly burdened with emissions cheating stuff and whatever it is. But thank you very much indeed once again for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave a comment below, and we shall see you again soon for some more very vague and not particularly interesting music.